On March 25th, we are going to witness the ultimate grudge match between Caleb Plant and David Benavidez. On one side, we have a true boxer.
Another body shot now, huge left, puts the round down, one punch, good night.
On the other, a relentless finisher.
Driving back Lemieux, and Lemieux's hurt again. And look at this hand speed by David Benavidez. This is craftsmanship.
It's rare we get a fight that divides the fans such as this one. That's not surprising considering the nature of this fight and the fighters involved. Both are extremely skilled in their own ways, and both are looking to add another win to their record. However, the bookmakers are not seeing it that way as they put Benavidez as the clear favorite. It's much easier to side with the fans. Almost a year and a half ago, Caleb Plant received his first pro loss at the hands of Canelo Alvarez.
For the finish, Canelo looking to finish off Caleb Plant, and down goes Plant, and this one is over.
In that fight, he was an even bigger underdog than he is right now, with bookies giving him almost zero chance. That wasn't such a big surprise considering who he was fighting, but Caleb proved a lot of people wrong. Yes, he lost the fight, but he also won a couple of rounds. He proved he's a very skilled boxer, but in that particular matchup, he lacked power to make Canelo back off and give him breathing space. A year later, he was back in the ring with a man who didn't respect Caleb one bit, Anthony Dirrell.
To say about my resume and how I haven't fought anyone.
Yeah,
but he's somebody
Tell me who you fought. The only way you can retire me is running around the fucking ring. I'll get old. That's the only way you can retire me. You can't do nothing, man. Fuck you can do, huh? You can't hit.
So Caleb was in a similar position as he is right now. A good opponent, tons of animosity between the two fighters, and a decent amount of pressure. How did Plant manage in that kind of situation? Well, see for yourself.
Another body shot now, huge left, puts the round down, one punch, good night.
A quick left hook to the body, followed by a perfect left hook to the chin that sent Anthony Dirrell straight to sleep. And if that wasn't enough, Plant decided to provide us with one of the most cold-blooded celebrations we ever saw in a boxing ring. And while Plant was going 11 rounds with one of the greatest boxers of all time and knocking out Dirrell, Benavidez was doing his own thing. His last fight was in May of last year against David Lemieux, and it didn't last long. The fight was stopped at the end of the third round as Benavidez relentlessly beat up his opponent for as long as the fight lasted.
And now the corner's coming up, and this one is over. There's David Benavidez.
He once again showed us his incredible power and aggressiveness combined with unorthodox punches that are super tricky to defend. Unlike Plant, he never experienced losing, not even in the amateurs. But to be fair, he only had 15 amateur fights, as he mostly sharpened his boxing skills by sparring with the best fighters in the world. He actually sparred Golovkin when he was only 15 years old. We saw him 5 years ago. He was 15 years old and he wanted to spar with Gennady. We allowed him, and he actually held his own. He didn't do bad. He's completely different now, obviously. Not only being a nice young man, he's a hell of a fighter. And while a lot of people are claiming that Plant's experience in the amateurs is giving him the edge in this fight, it's hard to look past David's sparring with world champions as a teenager. Styles make fights, a saying that is widely known in the fighting world, and it's constantly proving its legitimacy. Styles really do make fights, and this one is not an exception. Benavidez's path to victory is doing what he does best, and that's constant pressure with quick, long combinations. Plant is not known for his cardio, as he got very tired against Canelo, and Benavidez will make you tired. His already mentioned pressure and his powerful body shots will make you weaker with every new round, and you can't really hope for him to slow down, because he won't. Plant also often slips punches on the back foot, which is a perfect opportunity for Benavidez to come forward with his combinations, pushing Caleb to the ropes. That's where David does his best work. But Plant has his chance in this bout. The main reason for that is his jab, and pressure fighters like Benavidez definitely don't like jabs. When you combine that with his solid footwork and speed, it could become a big problem for David. Yes, he is a smaller boxer with less power on his punches, but he's very smart in his approach and his style of boxing. A good game plan and a great jab could take you a long way, and honestly, I can very much see it happening in this fight.
Like what you said when he was coming to the ring, he's a thinking man in the ring, and that's a guy who can think and also has the ability to see it all and do it all. That's a hard guy to fight against.
When pressure fighters start the fight by getting jammed for a couple of rounds, they get frustrated. When they get frustrated, they get sloppy. And when they get sloppy, boxers like Caleb Plant use that sloppiness to get ahead. It's not crazy to compare this fight with the Plant versus Canelo match. Canelo is not as big as Benavidez, but he had to use his ring-cutting knowledge with powerful pressure to try to slow down Plant as much as he could. And that's the same game plan Benavidez has to use to beat the American. Canelo wasted no time and immediately started the fight with pressure. He was landing big shots, but Plant was throwing combinations of his own. They were precise and quick, but they didn't earn the respect of Canelo. He just kept coming forward while targeting the body and throwing big left hooks and right hands over Plant's shoulder. And Caleb was doing a good job at defending those attacks, but as time went on, those punches were coming through more and more often. And whilst this is a good example of how this fight could look like, David Benavidez is not Canelo Alvarez. He's not as good as him at cutting off the ring and trapping your opponent. But he's got better cardio than Alvarez. Whilst Canelo fights in spurts, as he's a very explosive fighter that demands tons of energy, Benavidez keeps the pressure going all the time. If you give him space, he will take that opportunity to punish you.
Get this work by David Benavidez with his back on the ropes. Oh my goodness, a 7-punch combination. To go ahead and say, okay, the head body shot and another body shot. And a left hook to the body. And now David Benavidez comes upstairs and is trying to bring it into the night.
If I had to pick, I'm going with the underdog in Caleb Plant. I truly believe he's going to come into that ring with a perfect game plan to outpoint Benavidez. I don't think he's going to knock him out or even hurt him at any point of the fight, but he's going to play the long game and frustrate the much bigger opponent. Benavidez is definitely going to pressure him to the ropes multiple times, but I have a feeling he won't be able to keep him there to inflict any kind of severe damage. The biggest question is, will Plant be able to endure the pace of the fight, or will he slow down in the later rounds? Again, with a good game plan and with conserving energy as much as he can, it's very possible that he comes in relatively fresh in those later rounds and wins a decision. And seeing the way he carries himself, it's hard to bet against him. It looks like he just wants it more.
One thing better than proving people right, and that's proving people wrong. And I've been doing that my whole life. You see, I don't do this to be famous. I don't do this to get attention. Because when we first started, it was just me and my dad. And we didn't get any attention. No one believed in us. They certainly didn't think that I'd be standing here today. All of you who tell me what I can't do and blah, blah, blah bullshit, a lot of you live believable lives. And you've accomplished believable things. But you see, when I sat down on this, I promised myself that I was going to run this all the way to the top, where I had no problem crashing and burning and dying on the way.